You look at the old woman sitting across from you. She smiles sweetly and says, "I'll give you the sword I found. I think it's really strong, but I simply don't need it. All I ask in return is one thing from your bag." No thanks. You'll probably just take my hand as I reach in or something. Players see hags coming a mile away. Unless the player plays without taking meta knowledge into their gameplay, very few players actually take deals. But it doesn't have to be that way. And if we just play more into that magical, chaotic, evil nature and the knowledge that comes with age. Thank you to all my Patreons for supporting the channel. While this is totally possible, we have to talk about the elephant in the room first. Hags are incredibly one-note. They do the same shenanigan over and over and over. And it's gone predictable. Hags need a motive. Yes, they're chaotic, but that doesn't mean that they're aimless or without goals. They should still want something. That desire should shape their actions. If their goal is the same thing every single time, it's gonna be pretty obvious. And honestly, not very enticing. Personally, my favorite way to mix hags up is to let them feed off of emotion. It immediately adds variety to what they might be after, and making their scheme feel a little more intentional, yet still chaotic. And yes, I do this even for positive emotions. I like to think of it as devious positivity. They do things that seem helpful, kind, or even uplifting at first, until the player realizes it's not as it seems. Starting out good, right up until the point where it isn't. For example, a hag might set out a pile of gold inside of a dungeon, where it has a secret hideaway built into it. When the players find it, they're overjoyed. Who doesn't love loot? But when they fall asleep at night, that gold sprouts a tiny pair of legs and walks away to their next dungeon, where, when they go there, they go, "Ooh, more shinies." It does it over and over and over again, as the hag stalks the players, feeding on their joy and greed. Or, another example, maybe you have a party member that loves to flirt with NPCs. So your hag feeds on love, and has set up ladies and lads around the tavern. The perfect soulmates for anyone they meet. Until they take them on a date, or out of the tavern at all, where, oops, it turns out that those ladies and gents were succubus and incubus. After all, the love only matters when it's close enough to feed on. Now, you might have noticed that the hags in those examples never actually talked with the player. They never offered them a deal verbally. And that's because we make deals every day. See, we make deals with life. We see 2 or more options, and we choose one with the expectation that we'll get a certain thing to happen in return. If we're out at night, we might see a dark alleyway, and on the other side, a bright lit road. Our expectation is that the road will give us safety. Or that if we do good things for people, they will like us. A silent agreement with society and the world around us. And personally, I like to play hags in this way as well. They aren't lawful, they aren't about the rules. They're about doing what they need to achieve to get what they want to achieve. And this is their separation between devils who play by the rules and hags who don't have to play by them. Before we continue, most of my D&D friends love narrative moments and roleplay, but I can't fit all of them into my big campaign. So I like to run shorter campaigns with them. But there's one issue. It's hard to find pre-built campaigns about narrative moments instead of just combat, or just even taking combat into a narrative way. That's exactly why I created the rules light version of a 5e campaign, where your players get to play as gods. And I'm sharing it with you. It's available for free for all my free members on my Patreon, link in description. If our hags don't play fair, well, let's help them cheat. You see, hags are often thousands of years old. They're knowledgeable and loaded with souvenirs from across time. And where most of this comes in as items such as the gold that walks away, or maybe a memory stone that lets you relive one memory but then just deletes it from your brain afterwards, it can be more than that. The hag probably has met a fair amount of other monsters, politicians, old money families across its years that it could have wormed its way into, using this to take advantage of its relationships. Maybe your hag is puppeting a noble, or working with a corporation to mass spread mischief, or simply using monsters to do its dirty work. But to me, where the fun really takes place is in the places that it knows exist. Long forgotten magical buildings, hidden lands, and ancient dungeons that have slipped out of the rest of society's memories, steeped with ancient powers for the hag to get an upper edge. For example, one place I put a hag in was a theater, where to open it, you had to have conveniently the right amount of keys, which happened to be the amount of players that I had. Each key was found at the end of a long hallway that you could only get to if you placed a hand on each door at the same time, which means everyone had to split up. Inside the hallway, you are transported to your wildest dreams, everything you ever wanted, where I would ask them to describe what they see. And then a calm, sweet voice coming from a god that stood before them would ask them, "I can make this a reality. Would you like that?" And then offer them a deal. In this scenario, the hag still talks to them, but using the magic of the building itself to hide its own nature and appearance. Maybe we want to lean in harder, though, to that emotional element I talked about at the start of the video. So instead of a hag that just bargains and deals, how about one that feeds on pain, that slow, gnawing suffering? The hag might secretly operate an illegal fighting pit, tucked away beneath the city. On the surface, the pit is ran by a loan shark, who takes in bets for who wins. But people in debt who can't pay up are dragged below and thrown in the ring. The fight is slow, antagonizing, and completely unfair. This setup keeps the hag out of the deal-making, which in turn makes it harder to notice, while it still owns and operates the situation it feeds off of, while also giving it a layer that it can use to its advantage. Hidden hallways that the animals walk down and cages loaded with snapping, snarling beasts, along with any of her henchmen that might work for the building. In a more recent example, I placed an entire covenant of hags out by something I named the Whispering Sands. This was a sand dune where the hags fed on joy. Joy sounds great on the surface, happy till the day you die. Unfortunately, people's lives only lasted, well, how many days can you live without water? 2 to 10, somewhere in there. The hags gave the adventurers the perfect adventure. Difficult monsters that they could always beat, amazing loot, the perfect meal, a quick travel to your destination. The only issue was none of it was real. It was just the magic of the dunes. When dealing with this one, I knew that I couldn't actually just give my players the perfect experience, or they would never get it and just die. So I planned out glitches in the matrix. Things like, that dune looks weirdly familiar. You came across your own footprints, but you've never been here before. You see a rock high up in the air, for just a second before it blinks out of existence. For a moment, something brushes up against you. But when you look, there's nothing there. Sometimes you have to make sure you give your players hints that there is a trick. When making tricks, well, just hard to spot. But good luck giving your hags variety, and don't forget to check out my Patreon for your copy of the free mini-campaign, available for all free members. And tell me about the first time you ever experienced a hag. Have a fantastic day.